question is to the Minister of Finance. Later today, the federal government will be releasing their economic snapshot, which demonstrates the extent of their support for Canadians during the pandemic. Speaker, the Premier seems to think that the federal government should foot the entire bill for moving our country and our province through this pandemic. The federal government has stepped up, but the Premier has not committed the province to doing its part. Now that the pandemic is subsiding, it is time for Ontario to invest in its own economic recovery. But tens of billions of dollars of this government's spending is in the form of tax deferrals, which they plan to eventually collect from businesses. Mr. Speaker, in August, when the government intends to share its economic update, more small businesses will have closed, and parents will be facing impossible choices and decisions about either their children's safety or their schooling. Speaker, will this minister release an economic update this month, as the federal government has already done, not in the dog days of summer?
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for her question. She will remember, no doubt, as all the members of the House will, that this government and this legislature produced a document and was the first government in Canada to produce a document that responded to COVID. $17 billion, Mr. Speaker, that this member supported, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Voted for. Mr. Speaker,
Order.
This member and the rest of the members of this legislature supported those early moves to make sure that this government, and in fact this legislature, were supporting health, businesses and communities. Mr. Speaker, the Ontario government has been at the forefront of responding to COVID-19. That is why we've seen the results that we have. We have taken a safe and responsible approach. We do look forward to the federal government's update. It's I guess a one-year or a fiscal update, not a full one-year report that we provided. We look forward to that. We look forward to continuing to work with them, and we look forward to working with the member opposite and continuing to work with her to provide the supports that Ontarians need.
And the supplementary question.
Thank you, Speaker. And Minister, I too look forward to working with you to respond to the needs in a manner in which is timely. Speaker, I have heard from organizations in my riding that they are worried that when they are reopening, they will not be insurable. Tam Heather Tennis and Curling Club in Scarborough-Guildwood remains closed in part due to the uncertainty regarding their insurance. Voluntary associations and organizations that follow pandemic guidelines should be protected from litigation as a result of COVID-19, or else they may have no other option but to close forever because they are simply being deemed uninsurable. Minister, does the government have a plan to protect the public and also the countless of cultural, sports and other organizations that are facing issues of insurability right now?
Minister of Finance to reply.
So again, I appreciate, and the member has raised an important question. Our government is looking comprehensively at what is required, and as I mentioned, have already made significant investments, in fact, historic investments in terms of support, the largest funding for health care in history. The Minister of Education has touched on the historic investments we're making in the space in both childcare and education, and we are looking broadly and comprehensively at what is required for that, for the economy to recover, and that includes the issues that you've raised, and we will look forward to reporting back to the legislature as those plans come forward. And I say again to the legislature, we do look forward to Minister Morneau's update today. The federal government has been an important partner of the Government of Ontario, and we look forward to that continued partnership.